This is a Lenovo ThinkPad laptop. And for many years now, they've been doing something that Apple has failed to do. It's one of those things that actually makes me quite upset, because ever since I switched over to Mac exclusively about 6 years ago, there's been one thing that I miss about my Windows laptops, which were ThinkPads. And that one thing was the keyboard. So today, we are going to talk about why Lenovo's ThinkPad still beats MacBook in one crucial way. ThinkPad keyboards have always been great, but in recent years, they've become even better thanks to their partnership with one company, and that is Ampro. Now, if you don't know who Ampro is, well, they are the world's leading manufacturer of laptop keyboards, trackpads, and other input devices. They've worked with all sorts of major laptop manufacturers, including HP, Dell, Microsoft, Asus, and yes, Apple as well. But what's really cool is that they also worked with IBM when they made the ThinkPad, and they've continued that relationship through Lenovo. So Lenovo is actually Ampro's biggest customer. So Lenovo and Ampro work together to design and manufacture the best keyboard for the ThinkPad. And then Apple comes along and says, "Hey, we also want a keyboard. Can you make us one?" Then Ampro's like, "Sure, here you go." Now you might be thinking, well, how does this explain why ThinkPads have better keyboards than MacBooks? Well, it doesn't. At first I thought it was because Lenovo buys more keyboards from Ampro, so they get a better deal and get better keyboards that way. That's not the case. Both Apple and Lenovo use the same exact keyboards from Ampro. The difference is in the software that controls them. Apple uses their own proprietary software, whereas Lenovo uses Windows and third-party software that's designed to work with Ampro's hardware. So Lenovo ends up getting better performance out of the keyboards. This was confirmed by none other than Ampro themselves in an interview where they were asked about the differences between Apple and Lenovo in terms of the keyboards, and this is what they said. The biggest difference between the two is that the Apple keyboard is purely hardware-defined, while the ThinkPad keyboard is more software-defined. We have a team of 20 people who work full-time on optimizing the ThinkPad keyboard software. Things like key, travel distance, actuation force, and key bounce are all optimized via software on the ThinkPad, whereas on Apple, these are mostly hardware-defined. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I understand all of that, but what I do know is that thanks to all that extra software tweaking, Lenovo is able to get a lot more out of the keyboard. Take typing feel. For example, that is purely subjective, but in my opinion, the ThinkPad keyboard has a much better typing feel than the MacBook keyboard. It just feels better to type on, in my opinion. It's got a nice clicky sound to it. It's got a bit more travel, and overall it's just more comfortable to type on. And this is something that's been consistent across all of my experiences with ThinkPad laptops over the years. The next thing is typing accuracy. And this is something that's been true for me personally as well. I've always had much better typing accuracy on ThinkPad laptops compared to MacBooks. In fact, the only time I've ever come close to matching my ThinkPad typing accuracy on a Mac is with the new MacBook Pros. Now, the reason for this seems to be related to the fact that ThinkPad keyboards have a numpad. Having a numpad forces your hands to stay in a more optimal position over the keys, making it easier to reach all of them without having to move your hands too much. Whereas on a MacBook, the lack of a numpad means that your hands have to move around more to reach all the keys, especially if you're coming from a ThinkPad. It just feels cramped and awkward, at least for me. Next up is battery life. And this is actually surprising because you would think that the extra software on Lenovo's laptops would put extra strain on the battery, but it's actually the opposite. Thanks to the software tweaks, Lenovo is able to make the keyboard more efficient, resulting in better battery life. According to Ampro, a ThinkPad laptop with a standard keyboard can achieve a battery life of up to 75 hours, while a MacBook with the same keyboard from Ampro can only achieve 45 hours. And according to Lenovo, the average battery life of their laptops is around 60 hours, which is pretty impressive. And finally, there's durability. Now this is actually the most important thing to Apple because they use butterfly keyboards, which are notoriously unreliable. And it's one of the reasons why they switched to using the same keyboards as ThinkPads. But durability isn't just about the keys themselves. It's also about the overall build quality of the keyboard deck and the trackpad. And in this regard, ThinkPads have always been built like tanks, which is part of the reason why their keyboards last so long. In fact, Lenovo says that their keyboards are guaranteed to last for 20 million keystrokes, which is roughly equivalent to 10 years of heavy use. Now obviously these numbers are just estimates, but it's clear that ThinkPad keyboards are built to last. Overall, the bottom line is that Lenovo and Ampro work together to fine-tune the entire keyboard experience, whereas Apple just focuses on the hardware, and it shows in the final product. There's no denying that Apple makes good keyboards. In fact, I would argue that the keys themselves on MacBook keyboards are some of the best in the industry. But the software side of things is where they fall short and where Lenovo excels. There's just so many little details that Lenovo gets right with their keyboards that makes a huge difference to the overall experience. Like the fact that you can change the volume precisely by pressing the volume up or down button once, twice, or holding it down. The fact that you can easily adjust the brightness of the keyboard backlight by holding down the function key and then pressing the arrow keys. And the fact that you can customize the keyboard shortcuts to do basically whatever you want. These are all little things that Apple doesn't even consider because they don't even have the option to do it with their keyboards. I mean, it's no secret that Apple likes to control everything. And that includes the keyboards that they put on their laptops. When Apple makes a product, they usually aim to control as much of the production process as possible. But that's not always possible, like when it comes to things like keyboards and display panels. What they do is they find a supplier that makes the best keyboard or display panel, and then they reverse engineer it and try to make their own version of it. And for the most part, Apple does a pretty good job at this, but it's clear that they're not perfect. And that becomes especially obvious when you compare their products to the competition. Take their latest MacBook Pro, for example. It's on the surface, it looks great, but once you start digging deeper, you realize that it's not as good as it could be. For example, the screen is amazing until you realize that it doesn't have the highest resolution possible, or that it doesn't have a high refresh rate, or that it doesn't even have the fastest response time possible. And the same goes for their keyboards. The keys feel good, but they don't offer the best typing experience. They're not as durable as ThinkPad keyboards, and they don't even have the longest battery life possible. So while Apple is doing a lot of things right, they're still not quite there yet. And that's why Lenovo's ThinkPad still beats MacBook in one crucial way. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up, it helps a lot. If you're looking for a laptop with the best keyboard, you should definitely check out the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. It's one of the best laptops that you can buy right now. It's got an amazing keyboard, a great build quality, and a bunch of other features that make it stand out. But if you're looking for something a bit more powerful, then you should check out the ThinkPad X1 Extreme. It's got the same great keyboard and build quality as the X1 Carbon. But it's got a more powerful processor, more RAM, and a bigger screen. Plus, it's also available with a dedicated GPU from NVIDIA. But if you need something even more powerful, you should check out the ThinkPad X1 Fold. It's Lenovo's first foldable laptop, and it's a game changer. It's got the same great keyboard and build quality as the other laptops. But with a massive 16-inch screen that just folds up and fits in your bag, it's perfect for someone who wants the most powerful ThinkPad laptop possible. You should definitely check out Lenovo's website to learn more. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.